when we go over highlights and moments of the race, top for me would be the Norris and Hamilton battle off the
Yeah.
restart. That's when this race really got interesting. After K-Mag, we saw fire blowing out the back of the Haas. Disappointing race, disappointing weekend. That was lap 33. We were under virtual safety car and then a safety car, no red flag, but lap 39 back after the restart. And the question really there seemed to be for the McLarens on the differing strategy. They were on the hards.
Yeah.
Mercedes and Hamilton was on the softs. Would Hamilton, we saw him get close 3-4 times. It was really quality racing between the two, and Norris just kept that gap, stayed out in front, finishes on the podium.
Norris has driven, I mean, both Norris and Piastri have driven exceptionally well today, but it just goes to show how such an incredible driver Lando Norris is. Like there's no doubt. If anyone still had an ounce of doubt if Lando Norris was a top tier driver, I'm hoping that this has completely disappeared after this weekend, because what a race he's given us.
Yeah, I think the question now for McLaren is how, is this track specific? Or
Yes.
will this continue to be sustainable? We saw a good weekend last weekend. It was Norris that had just the upgrades last weekend. Piastri gets them, so both cars are upgraded this weekend. Obviously, they delivered, but now has McLaren thrown themselves into the mix with plenty of season left for possibly best of the rest? You're talking about Red Bull, and then McLaren obviously has a lot of work to do, but Aston Martin, we've seen some drop off. Ferrari 9-10 today. So McLaren, if second and fourth, that's a lot of points.
It's a lot of points. It must be always, I think it's always nerve-wracking for the team principals. To your point, when you have a good race, you're like, okay, was this a fluke? Was it really the changes? Was it the track? Was it the weather? Was it just our strategy? Were the drivers just, exceptionally good today? Then when I think you have it a second time, you go, okay, maybe there's something working here. Maybe our strategies and the drivers are feeling the car and the upgrades are working. And I think it's always nerve-wracking for the team principals where they're like, okay, can we do this another time? Can we have three? Can we have three great weekends? And you can always tell, because Zach Brown, even on the radio during the race today, was very just like, we're just hoping to be in the top 5. We'll be happy with top 5. And they're like, oh, maybe we can do top 3. Let's have a look at that. They're tiptoeing around this.
McLaren, you see the joy. You saw that with Norris yesterday when Zach Brown came up to him. We saw Zach Brown with Daniel Ricciardo, and Daniel Ricciardo's winning Monza and doing the shoey. And so obviously
he's happy.
Yeah, a lot of good mojo around there. Here's the race results. Verstappen goes to his 150th start, 43rd win, then Norris, Lewis Hamilton, Piastri, Russell in 5th. Checo Perez starting in 15th after another wretched, horrid qualification session, but he goes from 15th up to 6th. Have to think that that's a win. Fernando Alonso, we'll get into the questions about Aston Martin a little bit. Alex Albon, who continues to impress, and then the Ferraris rounded out 9 and 10. Other great moment I want to ask you about too, the start. It was such a good start. And how cool was it to see Lando Norris leading the British Grand Prix?
Incredible. What did he lead it for like 3 laps? And it's a hard one.
It was short. I wish it would have been a little longer.
Short-lived, but it doesn't matter. It's if you can. I think there's a fundamental difference between being on pole and keeping that for a couple of turns versus being on pole and no, I can keep this pace for a few laps, even if it is 3-4 laps. The fact that you can hold off, I think, someone like Max Verstappen right now just goes to show, okay, we've got a car that's working, we've got a good strategy, and we've got an exceptional driver. I think it doesn't take a lot in this sport. It's such an emotional sport. Most of it is done with what is happening in the driver's head. I think that boost of confidence for Lando Norris, of course, no driver is going to be happy with second or third. That's why they are who they are. But I think that boost of confidence of we didn't just, stay ahead of Verstappen for a couple of turns. We stayed ahead for, a couple of laps. It's not a bad one.
So my question now is, how in America they talk about how the day after the Super Bowl should be a national holiday. I would assume there's going to be a lot of Brits that are calling in sick to work tomorrow.
I don't know. Yes.
They're going to enjoy this.
If the sun comes out, we're going to have a lot of British people who've probably dehydrated, have been drinking a little bit too much and been staying out in the sunshine for a bit too long. So yes, we're going to have people who are going to be, worse for wear on Monday. But the European have enough public holidays. They're okay. Compared to the Americans anyway.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content plus live streaming, make sure to subscribe to ESPN Player.